way and support and go, whoa, what's that about, together. So, for me, this playing nice is the trust I was given growing up. And I later learned that trust is what is assured from Spirit through law in this teaching and in life. And so, the answer that I gave to my family, and they asked me often as we were preparing to go, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to see? I said, nothing. I just want to see you. I just want to be. To just be. And that demand of Spirit to just be was the perfect in-the-moment permission for this goodness to show itself in whatever happened for me that week. One of those memories that I have, because I did not box in Spirit, I didn't limit the opportunity of Spirit, I said to my brother-in-law who lives in Georgia where I stayed, let's go for a hike, like behind your house. Quite a big hill. He does it all the time. Took my hiking boots. We show up. And so he said, we're going hiking. We're going to go get in the truck. I said, what? Get in the truck? He said, yeah, get in the truck. We're going to the wilderness area. Wow. Pristine wilderness area, which is just 3 miles up the non-paved road here. So, 2 miles on this path into a beautiful river, 2 miles out through this, I felt like I was in prehistoric times. It was so unaffected by human. And so, to me, I didn't let the idea of going hiking anywhere kind of box it in. I just thought somewhere. Somewhere. Thank you, Spirit, for turning on the air. And so, always, I know it's always good to stay open to whatever you demand of Spirit or something greater. Or something greater. I know as we let go of the limits of past experience, expanded vistas are presented. As you let go of anything that happened in the past, newness can occur. Commitments are more than showing up, Carol. Thank you. Well, I showed up committed to experience a deeper love with my family, the love that has always been and always shall be. So how can we open ourselves to more of this love and our inner trusting nature that many times doesn't show up at the family? Well, the formula I developed is my title, Clarity, Insight, and Peace. Clarity is a really important part of our commitment, because it's the quality or state of being clear, luminous, bright, clean, and pure, and unmistakable. Love that. Unmistakable. Ram Dass says, my goal is to take away your confusion. Confusion is a fertile field in which everything is possible. Did you get that? Confusion is a fertile field in which everything is possible. Because if you think you know, you've just calcified again. Which means you've just limited the possibilities. You have just boxed it in. When you think you know, you're out of the question of learning something greater. You can say, I understand up to this point. What else is there to know? There's always more to know. There's always more love to experience. There's always more experience to enjoy the love into. So clarity is an important piece of moving into whatever it is you're committing to. The next one is insight. Insight is the power or act of seeing into that situation that we're moving into. It's the act of apprehending an inner nature of things. And I don't think insight can happen until there's clarity. We have to be open and clear to move into this possibility of, aha, now I'm understanding. I'm seeing what's behind it or inside it, or I see how this is working, I think. Still staying open. We forget that we are made in the image and after the likeness of a ceaseless creativity, an always forward-looking mind. Fenwick Holmes, Ernest Holmes' brother. And he continues by saying, in our forgetfulness, we wander down the blind alleys of futility and desperation. We seem lost in our own repetitious record rerunning. If we only would pause for a moment and think a new thought, we would be back on the broad avenue of life again. So it's important to remember what it is we're committed to. Not let the confusion take you off the path. Because as I said, when we take on a new thought, a new idea, a new pathway in life, there's support when we're clear. There's lack of support when we're confused. Insight is the pause in the middle of whatever is happening. Confusion, anger, judgment. That's the confusion, anger, and judgment. If that's happening, when that's happening, it's important to be able to choose anew. So the clearer we are, the better insight we have about where we're processing and to make those choices. And then there's peace, this third aspect of commitment. And of course, first we must have the clarity, the insight, which brings the peace, which is a state of tranquility and calm and quiet. It's a place we move to in meditation many times. We've gotten through the confusion. We've cleared our minds in the beginning. We've had some insight. And we come through it with a sense of total, open, centered peace. So it's a state of tranquility and calm and quiet, but not asleep. Not asleep. This state of being is through a deeper realization and trust of our inner source, our inner spirit. Ernest Holmes tells us, whoever becomes receptive to the idea of peace, poise, and calm, whoever embodies these divine realities, finds them flowing through him and becomes peaceful, poised, and calm. It's sort of like feeding ourselves these three different aspects which bring about peace. I find that if I feed myself with a lot of world stimulus, I'm not as peaceful. Not that I don't do an overview, but it's not running 24/7. I want the highlights. I want to know what the world is doing so I can know the truth. So I can be in the world in a peaceful, insightful, clear way. Because I believe we contribute to the world peace, one person at a time. And when it's combined in more than one, then that energy is magnified. It's like people start picketing. One person draws two, draws three, and pretty soon the energy is kicked up. What happens? People notice. Same is true with the sense of peace and tranquility. The more of us that have it, the more of it shows up in the world. Fenwick Holmes, in his book, Calm Yourself, offers 3 ideas for realizing a more peaceful mind. I love these. The first one, appearances are deceitful. The second one, Free yourself from the illusion that God, nature, or psychology bind you to the wheel of necessity, which is suffering and unhappiness. The law does not bind you. You bind yourself. Yikes. Yikes. How do we bind ourselves? You get a binder, punch holes in the paper, there we are. That's kind of what it is. We close ourselves off to whatever's out in the world. So don't let the suffering and unhappiness bind you. And the third is, the law of mind is your servant. The law of mind is your servant. I grew up wanting staff when I was a little kid. It says, why can't we have a maid? Why can't we have all this stuff and you see on TV? Here's this TV thing. Here's that stuff in the world coming at me. Why can't we have that? So I'm feeling lack. And had I known that the servant was not out in the world, but within me, taking on what I knew about myself, and then showing up as my world. So the law of mind is our servant. It is the ultimate yes person in our lives, or non-person. But this energy is just it's that lying in sweet repose thing. It just is awaiting our saying, here I am. This is me. Let me show up greater in the world. We sow what we reap. We all know that. We sow what we reap. And so commitment is more than showing up. How committed are you in your life? How committed are you to your life? Most of us are pretty committed, because that's where we are. Are you committed to how it is now? Do you like how it is now? The parts you want to change about now? Sure, there always will be. And so this is when we get to test the impersonalness of the law. Think something new. Create something different if you choose it to be. And then do what it takes. Commit to it. It's more than lip service. Gee, I wish, I hope, ha. It's a good start. And at least you know what you want. But what does it take? What does it take for this center to operate? Showing up is good, but it takes other commitment. We have a great group of family. And showing up is part of it. So I urge all of us to delve deep, look for that place within us that says, hey, this is who I am, and I can show up and commit here, at home, with your spouse, with your partner, with your children. I can show up as more love through doing this or being this. And I can just show up. Show up new and watch how new shows up. All right? Show up new and watch how new shows up. So I encourage you to kick it up a big old notch and do it with a greater sense of Spirit's love. Always in love. Knowing you're supported by the clarity, the insight, and the peace that you bring to it. Namaste. Namaste. I would invite